At a unique time in sub-regional history when West African governments have collectively determined that authoritarian rule will no longer be tolerated in favor of democratic process and transition, young African leaders convene to chart the course of the next generation toward practicable socio-economic and political integration in the sub-region. After the mentoring session, we listened to young leaders address the future of cooperation in the region.
The truth is that most of us want to be recognized for what we are doing. So I'm working on arts education. Yes, I do a couple of projects. I take pictures, I post on Facebook. People like it, I'm excited, that's it. But when it comes to working with other people, probably someone is going to steal my shine, or someone isn't going to recognize the work that I am doing. So I'd rather work alone than to collaborate with other people. So instead of looking at the broader frameworks of what ECOWAS isn't doing or what AU isn't doing, it's high time we looked at what we as individuals are not doing. We created a WhatsApp platform, and it's been motivational messages upon motivational messages. And we say good morning to each other, and that's it. Sometimes we post things on the WhatsApp page and nobody even responds. But then we are fellows and we are supposed to make an impact in our countries. We are not even able to collaborate within ourselves. How do we expect those higher institutions to collaborate to ensure an integrated West Africa? So I think in all this, we should look at what we are all doing and then try and collaborate on projects, because together we can achieve so much, but individually you can go so far. So it's high time we looked at collaborating with each other and then put aside some of the issues of social media and getting fame and all that.
I totally agree with all of the fellows saying that we should get to know each other and work together. But most of the time when we look at our own countries, like we are the third generation of Yalis, right? So from 2014 till now, and the fourth one is going soon. Sometimes we don't even know each other. You don't even know the 2014 fellows. Like, you see each other at the U.S. Embassy reception, you say hi, you have a little cocktail, and that's it. You don't even work together. So how do you want to foster integration within West Africa if you don't even foster in your own country? If you're not one in your own country, we recently created a Yali Alumni Association of the Côte d'Ivoire fellows. But even that, it's still a baby, it's still new. So how do we go forward from there? Like, if we're not one in our countries, then...
From health to transportation, young leaders identify common problems to find solutions.
For example, coming to Ghana has been a long trip, and we know that normally it's easy from my country, from Guinea, but I had to go to Ivory Coast, from Ivory Coast come here. And of course we have social media and other means of communication, but gathering was very important, and we weren't able to do so because of the cost of airplanes. And it's the same thing, the cost of transportation of goods also. For example, if even I want to do a business with Ivory Coast, the cost of moving that product from Guinea to Ivory Coast is very expensive. And we also know that bribery at the customs level cost a lot. So you always have to give money if you take your, for example, your car to go to Sierra Leone, which is really close to Guinea. It's so much money that you have to pay at each post, and that is not, well, it's bribery because it's not normal, but you end up paying because if you don't, it's going to take you forever to get there. And for me, I also think that a second point to what he said is that individuality is not necessarily something bad. If it's like, it's okay for people to do their own project and to want to shine alone, and because someone else can emulate that project and replicate it in their country. So we should not necessarily shun a bad light on to people that wants to do projects alone. We can do it in groups, but it's okay also to do it alone.
We cannot talk about trade integration or any other form of integration if the populace general across countries are not healthy. For example, when there was the Ebola outbreak, I'm sure we all knew how it affected integration across board. You want to get into another country, and then there's that barrier. And when you want to go into another country, they tell you, okay, you have to take these vaccines, you have to take this, you have to take that. And so we should probably just start thinking about how, if our population is healthy, then definitely we'll be able to integrate better And we should again stop seeing health as just disease state or presence of infirmities. It's beyond that. It's a physical, mental, and social well-being of humans. So if we're talking about socio-economic development, then we also need to start talking about developing the health sectors across board. Again, there is a place of financial inclusion even in the provision of health services. That's another channel through which we can talk about economic development. So as fellows, let's start thinking about this. You don't have to be within the health sector. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a clinician. I mean, you could just provide your services within that sector. If you are probably involved in supply chain system strengthening, you could actually bring that into the health sector within your community.
If we have greater impact, this impact will overlap. And if you're hearing about a Yali Alumni Association, for example, in Benin, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Mali, and people are talking about this, oh, who are those young people working together? So people will know that there is a new dynamic. Young people are taking the lead, so they want to work together. And for example, Benin Yali Alumni Association can get in contact with Nigeria Yali Alumni Association and write a common project. For example, I'm working in malnutrition, and all of us here, we know what is malnutrition in Africa. Yeah, we know what is malnutrition in Africa. So we can write a project, a common project, where each association, the first thing that I learned when I went to US is that the ability to get into association for a common goal. So this is really the trick. We need to work in association. Each association from each country, Benin versus Nigeria, but in association. So together we can create the impact that we want.